Chapter 6, Lesson 1. So Chapter 6 is about networks. So you might remember from IGCSE that we did a little bit of networks in the Chapter 4 of your IGCSE textbook. So this is that topic coming up again. So the information you might see in these slides, you might have seen before, but we're going to go through the information anyway just in case. So what is a network? So a network is a set of computers and devices connected together so that they communicate and share resources. So they can share things like internet and printers. So I think this is the definition from your textbook. So just know it off by heart in case you are ever asked to define what a network is. So that's just something to keep in mind as you go through the next slides. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of networking computers. So what is the advantage of linking computers together so that they can share resources and other things like that? The advantages: users can share their data with other users on the network, so you can send files from one computer to another. Users can access their data from different computers on the network, so you can sit at different computers. You don't have to always sit at the same one that you usually sit on the network. From any computer on the network, you can access your information or files. File servers store data in a centralized location, making data secure and backup easier. So you get these computers which are dedicated to storing information for you, so you wouldn't really have to back up information and keep your data secure. If you have a file server, it tries to do that for you. Printers can be shared. So sharing of resources, you don't have to buy another printer. So if you have one printer connected to one computer in a network, other computers in that network can use that printer to print. And the last one is that internet connection can be shared as well. So you just plug in your internet cable into the hub or switch of your network, and all computers connected to that hub or switch will get an internet connection. Some disadvantages: so viruses can transfer from one computer to another if the network is not sufficiently protected. So if one computer gets a virus, then all other computers are susceptible to getting that virus too. Setting up the network, getting the cables, the switches set up, that all can be expensive, or buying the switches as well as staffing costs to maintain the network. High traffic can cause slow network. So if you've got a lot of computers on the network sending information over the network, that can slow your network down. If one part of the network fails, the whole could fail. So if you have a server, for example, that controls an entire network, if that server fails, the whole network could fail as well. And you have security risks. Data could be accessed by an unauthorized user if they access the network. So a hacker or someone who is not authorized to access your network, if they are able to get into your network from one of these computers, then they could access your information, which you probably won't want them to access. Describe a client-server and peer-to-peer network. So you have two types of networks according to your textbook, which are compared to each other. So we're not talking about LANs or WANs. So they specifically are comparing client-server and peer-to-peer in your textbook. So what is a client-server network? So this is a network that uses a dedicated computer to store data and manage resources and control user access. The server acts as a central point on the network that the computers can connect to, and a computer which connects to the server is a client. So this is what a client-server network is. It just has one main computer which manages how the network functions, and it can act as a central point which computers can connect to. So every other computer that connects to a client-server network, if you're not talking about the server, those computers that connect to the network are called clients. What is a peer-to-peer network? So this is a network that has no central server to manage the network. Each computer shares its data and resources with other computers. Each computer is called a peer. Alright, so if there's no server in the network and all these computers in that network are connected together, it's a peer-to-peer network. So just some examples of peer-to-peer. Pretty much, If you just have computers that are connected together via LAN cables and hubs and switches, if there's no server in this network, it's a peer-to-peer. But if you do have computers which are connected together and there is a server involved which manages how this network works, then it's a client-server network. What are the advantages and disadvantages of a peer-to-peer? So advantages is cheap to set up. There's no need for expensive servers. You don't have to buy servers. Failure of one peer means only resources on that computer or on that peer cannot be accessed. So if you have a peer-to-peer connection of, let's say, 10 computers, and let's say one computer in that peer-to-peer network fails, it just means that the other 9 can communicate with each other still, but you cannot access the information or communicate with the one peer that fails. And there's no need for specialists to maintain this network, so it's not as complex as a client-server network, so no need for specialists to get involved in maintaining it. Disadvantages: there is no centralized database of users, passwords, etc. for security. Users must worry about making backups, so they don't have servers to control the security of the network. They don't have servers to make backups for them. And the more peers you have on the network, and the higher the traffic on the network, the slower the network is going to become in a peer-to-peer. So those are advantages and disadvantages of peer-to-peer networks. Compare the characteristics of a local area network, a LAN, with a wide area network, a WAN. So these are networks from IGCSE. So a local area network is a network restricted to a small geographical area. A WAN, or a wide area network, is a network that spans over a larger geographical area. So just some comparisons. With a LAN you can have speeds of 1 gigabit per second. A WAN is slower. It's got about 200 megabits per second. There are fewer errors as packets sent over a short distance. So a LAN has fewer errors in its transmissions of data. But a WAN, because the distance is further, so these 4 points discussed in this table over here are referring mainly to the distance. The distance contributes to these. So the further away the computers are in the network, the higher the chance errors or error transmissions are going to occur. And a LAN is small, so the security is going to be higher in a LAN. Okay, it doesn't have lots of devices or connections, so it's easier to put on a security or high security onto a LAN network. And a WAN is difficult to implement security over a higher number of devices. Because there are lots more devices connected together, it is harder to enforce security on all those devices. What are the advantages and disadvantages of a client server? So the advantages: there is a centralized database of usernames, passwords, etc. which provides security on this network. The user data is kept private because of the security. Only the user can access the information. Levels of access can be applied to resources. Users do not have to make backups, so servers can do that for them. However, the disadvantages: it is expensive to set up. The failure of the server will result in failure of the network. So if the server goes down, the network will not function. And it does require a specialist technical staff to maintain this type of network. Alright, I hope that was okay. Let me know if you have any questions.